style show all about quotations from the great and the good, as well as the poor and the bad. For instance, Oscar Wilde once said, "Most people are other people. Their thoughts are someone else's opinions, their lives are mimicry, their passions a quotation." I couldn't have put it better myself, which rather proves his point. On Mickey Flanagan's team is comedian and actor Jim Moyer, a.k.a. Vic Reeves. And with Richard Iowadi is comedian Josh Widdicombe. To read out our quotations is a journalist and broadcaster who once said, "The better the wine, the easier it is to get out of bed." Yeah, I used to be like that. Now I just keep it on the bedside table. This is the first time I've been dressed for a week. Please welcome Kirsty Walk. So our first round is called threesomes. Round 3, of course, is called onesomes. And round 2 is called Jessica. All our panellists have to do is match a series of quotations to one of 3 celebrities. You can also play along at home by following @SomethingISaid on Twitter to unlock extra content. The theme of this week's threesome is money. And can we have the first quotation, please, Kirsty?
There is nothing wrong with being the best at your job. Go for it.
And it's really easy to become rich.
You should be taught how at school.
Can you be taught to be rich at school? Just have a class where they say just be condescending and slightly rude to everybody.
Do they go on to say how they would teach it?
I don't think they do.
So they know, but they're not telling.
Well, but I'm going to narrow down your options with this quotation. Was it property tycoon Donald Trump, magic man Paul Daniels, or business magnate and film-producing aviator Howard Hughes? I should perhaps clarify, when I say magic man Paul Daniels, he's not, and has never claimed to be, actually magic.
What's happened to his finger?
He chopped it off in a fabulous magic act.
He was making a prop, and he chopped it off with a saw.
Well, he says that he was doing a magic act, and he chopped it off. I'm not so sure. I think he was showing off with a blender.
What was it? To put a bit of my own finger in it!
Watch how far I can push the kiwi fruit in.
Which of these 3, do you know, has been bankrupt?
Oh, I think that's Trump.
Yeah.
Trump's been bankrupt.
He's never been personally bankrupt, but he's been corporately bankrupt 4 times.
That hair's filed for bankruptcy twice.
His hair is insolvent.
To have that much money and still have a terrible haircut. To think, I'm a multi-millionaire, but I walk about with this on me nut.
Yeah, does he think, like, look, I've got no hair, I'm bald, but I've got a lot on my neck.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to brush it forward. Either that or get I don't know, a dog to stand behind me with its tail.
It looks like he's going, pull my finger.
Pull my finger and I'll do my surname.
Trump by name, Trump by nature.
So, what are your thoughts on this quote? Who thinks you should go to school to learn how to be rich? Donald Trump, Paul Daniels, or Howard Hughes?
Is he still alive, Hughes?
No.
They're very much not alive.
I read he used to arrange his peas in size order before he'd eat them.
Did he?
Yeah, that's true.
Why is that odd?
Why is that?
He used to put tissues out to walk to the bathroom, and so that he didn't.
He used to have genuinely have 2 Kleenex boxes on his feet, didn't he?
He was certainly getting through up to a dozen packets of tissues a day. You know, he was very OCD. You know, putting peas in order, keeping his wee in jars.
You have yet to say something weird to me.
No, honestly, do you do this? He used to select from his poos and keep the ones that he considered worthy.
Yeah?
I have left one in the toilet to show the wife later on that day.
Who do we reckon thinks you should go to school to learn how to be rich? Donald Trump, Paul Daniels, or Howard Hughes? What do you think?
I think they all
Mick
could have
and
said
Jim?
it, but we're erring towards the...
I think it's the central...
The little fella.
You know...
You think it's him?
Yeah. Because I really don't think either...
Stop doing impressions of Gibbons.
We also think it's Eric Morecambe.
So you're going Paul Daniels?
I think we're going to go Paul Daniels. That's the sort of thing that he would say.
Can we go Daniels as well?
Yeah.
The answer is Paul Daniels. Yeah. Do you know what else Paul Daniels thinks should be on the school curriculum?
Magic.
Now, what he says they should teach you at school that sex doesn't stop at 21. I don't know when it stops, because it hasn't for me by a long way.
I don't know that it
Overshare.
doesn't even start at 21, does it?
Certainly not for me.
Poor woman, what she has to put up with. Imagine him climbing up on top of her.
With his missing finger.
I wonder if all glitter comes out when he comes.
OK, Kirsty, can we have our next quotation on the subject of money, please?
Money was never a big motivation for me, except as a way to keep score.
If keeping score, by the way, Hughes would be in the lead, then Trump, then Daniels.
Hughes had the most money.
Hughes was the second
yeah.
richest man in the world when he
How
died.
did he do that? And did he sort of like sign on and work?
Well, I mean, the first thing he did is that he inherited his father's fortune. That will have helped. His father patented a rotary drill bit. What Hughes' habit kept his third wife awake?
Prodding her.
No.
Sighing.
Was it?
I know what sighing is.
I know, but if you do it with enough conviction, it can wake the other person up. I sometimes do it. I just go... My wife goes, what's the matter? I go, don't matter. Because if I'm... You know when someone next to you is asleep and you can't get asleep, and you hate them, don't you? You hate them. They're only asleep, but you hate them because they can sleep. You think, how did I end up with you?
What, you say that?
I think that, yeah. And then I go... She goes, what? And I go on that.
What does the other bloke do?
It's not that. No, for over a decade, Hughes refused to cut his toenails, and they kept clicking together.
Oh, God.
To the extent that his aircraft engineers built him a special set of calipers to hold his toes apart.
Nice.
What did he do for footwear? Just go winkle pickers?
Oh, Turkish slippers with the curl.
So, are we getting any closer to knowing which of the three of them said this?
I think it's Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think Howard Hughes was so rich to start with. I don't really think that he would have bothered that much about keeping score, whereas Donald Trump seems to be solely focused on just money.
You think Donald Trump?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It sounds something sort of kind of bravado-style Trump, doesn't it?
Money was never a big motivation for me. Keep to the score.
Is that what he sounds like? Money was never a big motivation for me. It's simply the way to keep score.
Yeah. I would have
It's somewhere in between, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think Trump.
Yeah.
You both think Trump?
Yeah.
Well, the answer is Donald Trump. You're all right. Do you know what Trump's fragrance is called?
Trump. Is it called Central Park?
No, it's not called the smell of Central Park.
You see, there's a park in New York called Central Park. And there's also a word for farts. That is park.
On this occasion, I'm with you.
And what I did was that I took those two elements, which individually aren't amusing, although parp gets a ripple, and I built a pun with those two elements, and everyone just had one of the best laughs they've ever had.
Well, that's a great little clip for the documentary about that joke. Yes. We'll all be interviewed. It'll be like Del Boy falling through the bar.
It'll be your moment.
Well, I hope this isn't my moment, and yes, I fear it may be.
It is.
It's called Success, the smell of Trump. Kirsty, you once gave an award to a Scottish farmer who'd caused Trump a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he got Scot of the Year because he caused him a hell of a trouble because he wouldn't sell his farm to him.
So Trump wanted to buy
Yeah,
this
he wanted
guy's
to
farm.
expand his holding, which was the whole of the northeast of Scotland. Trump owns everything. And he didn't want there to be a wind farm built near him because of his hair. Because he felt that if there was a wind farm in the area, he might get tangled up and mashed up in the giant turbines.
The way he treated this farmer, Michael Forbes, sounds terrible. He sort of subjected him to a vicious international public relations campaign and said of him that he lives like a pig and is a disgrace to Scotland.
I was thinking about getting some success for Christmas, but I don't even want it now. That's what it does to you.
Stick with Slazenger Sport.
It's nice.
So, at the end of our threesomes round, I can tell you that the teams are tied. Over the break, see if you can complete this quotation from Arnold Schwarzenegger from a radio talk show in 2003, the year he became governor of California. I think that gay marriage is something that should be... what? You can tweet your answer to @somethingIsaid, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Was It Something I Said? Before the break, we asked you to complete this quotation from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think that gay marriage is something that should be... what?
Is it terminated?
No, but it would be better if it wasn't.
I ought to go into greetings cards.
I think that would be a good greetings card. I think gay marriage is something that should be terminated. No. Greetings card among homophobic people.
Yeah. What occasion would you give that?
2 people of the same sex get married, they both love Terminator, and you don't know what card will adequately sum up your disdain for their union. Then this card would be almost completely apposite.
I think that gay marriage is something that should be more butch.
As long as they don't consummate it or something.
They don't put the tinky in the pot.
No.
Is it? I think it should be allowed as long as it's a gay man and a gay woman.
I'm going to give you the point because you were quite close. Can we have the full quote, please, Kirsty?
I think that gay marriage is something that should be between a man and a woman.
I wasn't serious.
Yeah, well, it's a very stupid thing to say. Arnold Schwarzenegger once said of his fortune, money doesn't make you happy. I now have $50 million, but I was just as happy when I had 48 million. I love a politician with the common touch. The next round is called Keywords. We give our panellists a couple of words from a well-known quotation which they should know, and they have to try and work out the whole thing. I'll give the points to whoever's closest to getting it completely right. OK, here's a famous quotation from Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain in 1938. Kirsty, can we have the first 2 keywords, please?
They are history and time.
He's just got off the plane. He goes, I have in my hand a letter from Hitler. This time, it's his story. And this time, he says it's true.
He's looking actually very suspiciously at the piece of paper. I mean, as well he fucking might.
Is he saying, in time, history will show that this sort of littering will not be accepted?
Why is he doing a Dalek impression?
They all spoke like Daleks back then. I have in my hand a letter! I've been to see Mr. Hitler! Hitler!
Can we have the third keyword, please, Kirsty?
The next word in the lexicon is honour.
Oof. Honour.
I think it's more or less, for the second time in our history or in history, in this nation's history, something like that, we have come away from Germany with honour, and Hitler's absolutely promised, and he didn't cross his fingers, and he's definitely never going to do anything naughty, and yes, he's not keen on certain sections of the community. Let's just let that slide. Our views. All I know is we're in the clear, and it's going to be cool as a melon.
OK, I'm going to go to this team for their answer.
History will prove that in our time, Germany honoured the agreement I have here. Never again in history will there be a war between Germany and England.
OK, Kirsty, what's the actual quotation?
For the second time in our history, a British Prime Minister has returned from Germany bringing peace with honour. I believe it is peace for our time.
That, as we now know, was horseshit. Richard started exactly right for the second time in our history.
Yes.
A British Prime Minister, and then he went off into... Because Chamberlain made no reference to Hitler's planned genocide in his announcement of peace.
I did know that. I just thought... I've been on the show for a while and I thought I should try a joke.
Yes, Chamberlain said this on his return from the Munich conference in 1938 with a signed agreement from Hitler which stated the desire of our two peoples never to go to war with one another again. What did Hitler say about this agreement?
Hooray!
Blimey.
Can't believe he fell for it.
Basically, yes.
Oh.
Foreign Minister Ribbentrop was castigating Hitler for having signed this agreement, and Hitler said, "Oh, don't take it so seriously. That piece of paper is of no further significance whatever."
The more I hear about Hitler, the less I like him.
Now it's time to play a round called What Are They Talking About? You're going to hear a quote that's been taken out of context, and what I want to know is what that person is talking about. Although, in the case of Boris Johnson, an acceptable answer is he doesn't know himself. Here's a quotation from former football manager Alex Ferguson talking to the Glasgow City Marketing Bureau in 2009. Can we hear it, please, Kirsty?
The dangerous ones had names. The King, the Queen, the Suicide, the Diamond, the Spiky.
Is it Revels?
Is it Duffs? Yeah.
That's Trump that...
Changing room guffs.
I think if they'd be good names. I've had a few that I would refer to as spiky.
The one you don't
That's
want
a spiky one.
You don't want to get the King. The King is the worst.
The Queen is soft and somehow satisfying.
The Suicide?
The Suicide is just when it's contained within the area of the person who did it.
So, what do you reckon he was talking
These sound
about?
like the sort of, like, tackles or something in football, like free kicks or dives or something like...
Is it his relatives?
The suicide! Here it comes, the suicide! There is a blade again!
You're nowhere near. I'm going to ask Kirsty for the full quote.
It was a great upbringing. We'd be out jumping dikes. The dangerous ones had names. The King, the Queen, the Suicide, the Diamond, the Spiky. You'd go to different areas of Govan to challenge each other into jumping dikes because it was very dangerous.
It was, as I would have thought was obvious, he was talking about dike jumping. Is that what all children in Scotland do for fun, Kirsty?
There's lots of dikes around. The main dikes are dry stain dikes.
Dry...
A dry stain dike.
And what's that?
A dry stain dike is a wall that's put together without any mortise.
Right.
It's dry stones
Okay.
put together in a dike.
Are there wet stain dikes?
No, they're only dry stain dikes.
So why specify dry?
Because the thing about being a dry stain dike
Right.
is that it's a thing of beauty.
That doesn't follow.
And it's very difficult to see a dry stain dike without thinking someone that put that dry stain dike together was a genius.
A dry stone wall. I've just worked it out, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is, isn't it?
Kirsty, can we all come on the lake with you next week?
Certainly not.
I bet we'd make more sense than some of the people you have on your show, I tell you. They talk some bollocks on your show.
Whereas this is just sense. Time now for our final round. Was it something I said? In which each team has to work out who said the following quotations. And to narrow it down, it'll either be from someone on the show tonight or from our virtual guest, Anne Robinson. She's virtual because she's not the real Anne Robinson, much like most of Anne Robinson nowadays. So first up is Mickey's team. Who said the following? Was it Richard, Josh, Kirsty, me, or Anne Robinson?
I don't know anything about computers. I resisted getting the internet for a long time.
See, this is probably something that Moss would have said.
Yes.
You know, being the Moss character,
Yeah.
being an internet nerd in his...
Yes, when he was
you know.
interviewed about the IT crowd, this
Yeah.
is the sort of thing he would
Yeah.
have said. Aha! I can imagine in an interview, they went blah, 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 and
Yeah.
he went, yes, I
Wow.
do."
So he would have said something contrary
Yeah.
just to confuse the journalist.
Yeah. So,
This is brilliant work. This is
Yeah.
like, I think, a cop show is born.
Who's the nice and nasty then?
me. I'm
Yeah,
nasty.
me too.
Too nasty, cop.
Nice and nasty. Two schizophrenics.
I think we're going to go with Richard on this one.
The answer is Richard. Well, the answer is Richard. Are you behind the internet now as a project?
I'm not behind it. I didn't do it.
Are you in favour of it?
Am I in favour? I mean, it's a bit like a weather system. I'm neither for it or against it. I merely exist in a world that contains it.
I'm against it myself.
You're against it?
I am against it.
Well, you're losing.
So next up, it's Richard's team. Who said the following? Was it Mickey, Jim, Kirsty, me, or Anne Robinson?
I've got a terrible crush on Kirsty Wark and have had for a number of years.
I've always had a thing for intellectual women slightly older than me.
I think it could be the kind of really annoyingly twatty thing Anne Robinson could say. She isn't.
She's getting younger all the time.
She's like Benjamin Button. She's the only person that's getting younger.
Yes, yeah. But
I
also
think she's just getting smaller. I think that's because there's less skin. It's stretched very tight, which is actually causing the muscle to compress violently. She's under incredible
Is that why she
tension.
winks?
She's under... That's spasming. She's under incredible muscular tension.
Well, I know that the insurance on The Weakest Link has gone up because there's a worry that, you know, if she snaps...
She'll ping
at
like
some
an
point,
elastic
something,
band.
and, you know, parts of her could come off at tremendous speeds.
Yes.
There's literally a risk that one of her eyeballs could just go straight through someone's head.
I think it's Anne Robinson.
Well, the answer is Mickey Flanagan. So,
Slightly older.
Yeah, I'm admitting that I do find Kirsty very attractive.
I thought Mickey would have been more gallant than that.
You start off with a little bit of a backhanded compliment.
You need to mix it up. Lovely shoes, you old woman. You look lovely, you thick idiot. You've got such a lovely smile, but you're so racist.
well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, and a quick look at the scores tells me that this week the teams are tied. Thank you to Mickey and Jim, Richard and Josh, and to our guest narrator, Kirsty Wark. And I'll leave you with the words of actor Clive Owen, who said, "There's certainly a huge element of luck in me ending up where I've ended up." Well, that's flying Ryanair for you. Good night.
A guilty Kingsley decides to confess in brand new Fresh Meat. That's tomorrow night at 10 here on 4. Next tonight, a life or death showdown for Stephen. Not that he's prone to exaggeration. It's Toast of London.